thank you everyone for joining us here today, this morning, the 20th of the 12th, 2024, just before Christmas in Abbey House for the Vale Cabinet meeting. I would like to start with Chair's announcements. I don't think you have any nothing, but I just wanted to give an update from my report on Wednesday. We were talking about local government reorganisation on Wednesday night at the full council meeting. And since then, as I promised, I have written to Councillor Liz Lippman, leader of the County Council, to request that she moves to write to the Secretary of State concerning our desire to move forward with devolution and local government reorganisation. And I believe she was hoping to do that today. I have also met in sort of broader discussions with all of the leaders of the, all but one, I should say, of the leaders of the Oxfordshire councils. And previously, obviously, I had met with Swindon Borough Council leader and various other leaders from Berkshire. And yesterday I met with the West Berkshire leader. It was quite a constructive conversation, and we will be meeting again in the new year. So I think that's an update of where we are, so we can move on to item number 2, apologies for absence.
We've had apologies from councillors Andy Fulsham and Lucy Edwards today, and Councillor Sue Call joins us online.
Okay, yes. Excellent. Item number 3, minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes, and are they happy to read them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a
If we could have a proposal and second, that would be appreciated.
proposing,
I'm happy to propose.
seconding? Yeah, that's for comment. And everybody agrees. Thank you. Now, at this point, I would just like to draw your attention to the fact that there are item number 11 was to discuss the confidential minutes from the last meeting. We could go into a confidential session at the end of the meeting, but if everybody is content with those confidential minutes, we can agree them now.
I personally agree.
Okay,
So happy to second that.
Yeah, so it's reversed. And is everybody happy to agree the confidential minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, item number 4, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any pecuniary interest to declare or otherwise? No, don't see anything. Public participation. Do we have any speakers? No speakers. And I believe that is the same with recommendations and updates from other committees, unless we put something in writing. No. So we can go straight on to item number 8, which is going to be introduced by Councillor Crawford, I hope.
I hope so too. Pass this side out. Thank you, Chair. So this report reviews the Council's revenue and capital expenditure performance against budget during the year 24-25 to the end of month 6, which is September. Cabinet recall that the budget for the whole year was agreed by Council on 21st of February this year. The net revenue budget, as outlined in paragraph 44 of the report, was set at 22.3 million. This has increased to 23.2 million, an increase reflecting the carry forward of unspent one-off project budgets from the previous year. In terms of revenue, as explained in paragraph 5, table 1, the forecast is for service expenditure to overspend by £300,000, but investment income is expected to exceed budget by £1.6 million, giving the forecast revenue underspend in total of 1.3 million. Budget carry forwards are expected at year end, and these will be firmed up in the coming months. On capital, the budgeted approved programme at the end of September this year was, as shown in paragraph 18, 26 million, against which 4 million had been spent. As noted in the budget setting update report also being considered today, as the next item, the capital programme has been reviewed since the end of Q2, and the latest approved programme is 22.5 million. I'm simply recommending the Cabinet notes this report.
Thank you, Councillor
I
Crawford.
guess happy to take any questions if anyone's got any.
I could just make an observation that para 6 says the effective net position of council levels and underspend of 1.8 million. That should actually read 1.3 million.
Yeah, I think that's right, actually. It's a good spot.
Thank you.
Simon can confirm that.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any further comments? So are we content to note this paper?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you to Simon and the finance team for preparing the report. Item number 9, also introduced by Councillor Crawford.
Just as well here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So this report is to inform you, the Cabinet, of progress made to date in preparing the revenue budget for next year, 25-26, as well as the capital programme, all the way up to 29-30. The report builds on the budget scene-setting report considered by the Cabinet in October, and I would like to apologise for the slightly late publication of the report. As identified in the report, the revenue-based budget setting activity is almost complete, and the latest base budget is detailed in the report. The Officer Budget Challenge is now complete, and the Member Budget Challenge exercise will be completed by Christmas. And just for clarity, individual meetings have already occurred. There are 1 or 2 items where officers are going to get back to individual Cabinet members on questions that can be answered in those meetings. As noted in the report and based on latest estimates of government funding, investment income, and the latest base budget position, there is expected to be a broadly balanced budget. That's good news, isn't it? A broadly balanced budget, like saying that. Proposal to Council for 25-26 before any final discretionary increases that may be proposed by the Cabinet when the final budget comes before Council in February 25. In terms of government funding, the Provisional Government Settlement has confirmed the assumption that core revenue spending power, the combination of council tax and government funding included in the settlement, will not increase in 25-26. And in practice, that means that council tax income will go up and government funding has gone down. However, the new income stream, the Extended Producer Responsibility for Packaging Scheme, will provide significant additional funding over and above core revenue spending for the year. This additional income, plus anticipated additional Treasury investment income, has helped ensure the current Council is currently in a position to set a broadly balanced budget for 25-26. As indicated in the report, beyond 25-26, however, the potentially presents increased challenges for the Council's finances if we exist. Although contextually, this also needs to be viewed alongside this week's release of the white paper on devolution and the likely future direction of travel for district councils as a whole. The expectation, though, is that in future this Council is unlikely to see government income increase, and this may indeed reduce if the government chooses to redirect available funding to prioritise areas of highest deprivation and need, as they've indicated, as a likely consequence of them introducing an updated assessment of need across the country. There are also other pressures looming in the future, which include expected reduction in investment income as expected interest rates fall and capital balances reduce, unknown future costs of a number of currently outsourced services, the contracts for which are due to end in the next few years, and thirdly, the need to borrow in future to fund the capital programme as the Council's capital receipts are reduced. In terms of capital, the latest capital programme has been subject to a challenge process, and the latest programme is included in the report. As with revenue, now growth proposals have been included in this latest programme. I recommend that Cabinet notes the report. I just had one question actually, which is relating to Employees National Insurance. There's some doubt in my mind at the moment because I don't think it wasn't completely clear as at yesterday at least whether the government is intending to make any additional contributions for district councils. And Simon's on the line. It'd be helpful if you were able to update me and indeed the rest of the Cabinet of where we think the position might be at the moment.
So the government confirmed there will be, I think the best way of describing it is probably additional funding that will compensate councils for the additional NI cost. The challenge is that the formula they're going to use doesn't actually bear any resemblance to the council's NI cost anyway. It's basically going to be a function of net expenditure overall. So we will get a number. It might more than cover our additional NI cost. It might not cover it in its entirety. My money's probably on the latter, to be fair. So I think it would be. I don't think we can say the NI is going to if the government is going to reimburse us for the additional NI costs we can incur. All we can say is the government is going to provide some form of financial compensation for those increased costs. Whether it matches, is under or over, is yet to be confirmed.
But we'll be known by the time the council has to set its budget in February.
It says it's going to be confirmed in the final settlement. So I suspect by the time it gets to council, I suspect the answer to that is yes, but it might not actually be at the time which we bring it to cabinet.
Thank you, Simon. So that's the report, and just recommend that cabinet makes it.
Thank you. Apologies for the copy. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yep.
Can I just ask for clarification on the extended responsibility for packaging? So we have been given a settlement for this year, but am I right in saying that although we will anticipate a settlement for subsequent years, it isn't necessarily going to be at the same level? That it's not yet been determined what the subsequent years will, how much we'll receive in subsequent years. It won't be determined each year. Is that right?
That's certainly my understanding, unless Simon knows more.
No, we only know a minimum number for this year, but for future years, no, we don't know.
Okay.
So the government have promised more than a 1 year settlement, which is really nice. Again, it's not much use next year giving us a 2 year settlement, given the uncertainty about the future. Whether that extends to the extended
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly, is another matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any further comment?
And the only other question I had was, I think it's probably right, is the contingency. We were going to hold that at 400k as we did last year. I mean, the budget is going up, I think, by about 8%. We anticipate. I guess it's not worth increasing the contingency by 10%. You know, to cover us off. We're willing to. I mean, ultimately, there's a bit of risk, I guess, but it's not very much, is it? Is that
Exactly. That would be my take. And if the Section 151 officer felt it was imprudent to have such a small contingency, then we would have increased it.
Yeah, the 40k is not going to make that much difference, is it?
Yeah, I'm content with the level of contingency, particularly given budget outturn performance in previous years. I think it's okay.
Thank you.
Well, no further comments? I do also like the phrase broadly balanced budget, but it's been tricky to say. So I will ask Kevin, is everybody happy to note this? Very much. Thanks again to Simon and Dean for preparing this report and all the work that goes into it.
Yeah, it's obviously across the Vale and Vale, of course, isn't it? They've done an awful lot of work.
It's every officer, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's an awful lot of work culminates in this report.
Good point. Yeah, I do appreciate that. So I believe that the end of the last yes, that's the end of business. So I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope everybody gets a chance to have a break over the festive season. So with that, I will draw a meeting to a close.
Thank you.
Percy, can you end